Have you ever noticed that some men seem to grow more magnetic and compelling as they age, while others slowly fade into the background and become almost invisible to the world, and especially to women? Most men assume the reason is gray hair, wrinkles, or declining biology, and they convince themselves that aging is a dead end when it comes to attraction. But the reality is far more uncomfortable and far more empowering. It is rarely age itself that destroys attraction. What actually does the damage is the energy of decay that a man begins to carry when he stops growing. Today, this is not about fashion advice, grooming hacks, or gym routines. This is about deeper psychological and behavioral signals. We are breaking down 4 powerful red flags that instantly make older men unattractive. And more importantly, the high-value wisdom that allows a man to reclaim his prime at any stage of life. If you feel like you are losing your edge, this is something you need to hear. The final point is the single biggest reason men lose respect as they grow older. The first red flag is the glory days trap. One of the fastest ways an older man loses attraction is by living in the rearview mirror of his life. There is nothing less magnetic than a man who peaked at 25 and cannot stop talking about it. When you constantly bring up high school football games, old business wins, or stories from decades ago, you are unconsciously sending a very clear signal to the world that your best days are behind you. Attraction is drawn to momentum, not nostalgia. Women are attracted to men who are moving forward, not men who are clinging to past relevance. A high-value man is always focused on the next mountain he is climbing. If all your stories end in the late 90s, you are no longer leading. You are simply preserving memories. Stop being a fan of your former self and start becoming the architect of the man you are building right now. Ask yourself what you are creating today, what skills you are developing, and what future you are actively moving toward. The second red flag is emotional fragility and cynicism, often disguised as wisdom. This is commonly seen as the grumpy old man syndrome. As men age, it becomes easier to grow bitter when the world changes and no longer feels familiar. Complaining about younger generations, technology, or how everything used to be better may feel justified, but cynicism is not maturity. It is a sign of a closed and defensive mind. When a man leads with negativity, constant frustration, or emotional volatility, he loses his frame and his authority. Women are naturally drawn to older men for emotional stability and grounded leadership. They look for calm, not chaos. If you are the storm, constantly reacting, complaining, or losing emotional control, you lose the masculine core that creates attraction. True maturity is the ability to remain composed and unbothered under pressure. Cultivate emotional discipline and stoic calm. Become the rock in the storm rather than the leaf that shakes at every change. The third red flag is the loss of the hunt, also known as the comfort trap. Many men reach their 40s or 50s and quietly decide that they have arrived. They stop learning, stop pushing themselves, stop training their bodies and minds, and slowly let their physical presence decline. Warrior energy gets replaced with couch energy. Attraction is deeply connected to vitality and self-respect. You do not need to look like a 20-year-old bodybuilder, but you do need to look like a man who honors his body and his health. When you let yourself go, you are sending a message that you have given up on yourself. And if you have given up on yourself, there is no reason for anyone else to invest in you. Discipline is the real fountain of youth. Keep your body moving, your mind sharp, your curiosity alive, and your standards high. Never stop being a student of life, because stagnation is far more aging than time itself. The fourth red flag is being easy to buy, which usually comes from seeking validation. This one is subtle but extremely destructive. Many older men try to compensate for age by becoming overly nice, overspending, or making themselves too available. They believe their money, resources, or generosity should speak for them. But attraction cannot be purchased, and when a man tries to buy approval, he loses respect. If you have no boundaries, if you agree with everything just to stay in someone's good graces, you become predictable, weak, and uninteresting. High-value women are not looking for a yes man with financial security. They are looking for a man with principles, direction, and a backbone. Your time, your attention, and your standards are your most valuable assets. Never lower them to gain validation. Respect always comes before attraction. The most unattractive thing an older man can do is apologize for his age or act as if his best years are over. Stop behaving like you are past your prime. Your prime is not defined by a number on a calendar. It is a state of mind, a combination of youthful drive and seasoned experience. That combination is incredibly powerful and something a younger man cannot compete with. You have lived, failed, learned, adapted, and grown. You have scars, stories, and competence. Do not hide them or feel ashamed of them. Own them fully. When you walk into a room with quiet confidence, clarity of purpose, and a strong sense of direction, age transforms from a weakness into an advantage. If you choose growth over decay and purpose over comfort, you do not decline with time. You ascend. Ascending as a man in later years requires a conscious decision to reject passivity and entitlement. Many men assume that experience alone should earn them respect, but respect is never granted automatically. It is reinforced daily through action, discipline, and presence. Experience without growth turns into arrogance, while experience combined with humility becomes wisdom. A man who continues to refine himself stands out instantly because most men stop trying. The willingness to improve separates leaders from spectators regardless of age. Another critical factor is purpose. Men who lose attraction often lose direction first. When a man no longer has a mission, he begins to orbit other people's lives instead of leading his own. Purpose creates structure, and structure creates confidence. Whether it is building a business, mastering a craft, mentoring others, or pursuing a long-term vision, a man must have something that pulls him forward every day. Purpose fuels masculine energy. Without it, even wealth and comfort feel empty and unattractive. Social awareness also becomes increasingly important with age. A man who fails to adapt socially becomes rigid and disconnected. This does not mean chasing trends or pretending to be young. It means understanding the world as it is, not as it used to be. A grounded man listens more than he speaks, observes before reacting, and chooses his words with intention. This level of awareness signals intelligence, confidence, and leadership. Silence, when used correctly, often carries more power than noise. Another overlooked element is self-respect in relationships. High-value men do not chase attention and they do not fear solitude. They choose companionship, not dependency. When a man is comfortable alone, he does not tolerate disrespect or settle for misaligned relationships. This selectiveness creates natural attraction. Scarcity of access increases perceived value, and a man who values his own life sets the tone for how others treat him. Finally, understand that aging is not about loss, it is about refinement. Strength becomes efficiency. Confidence becomes calm. Desire becomes intention. The man who embraces this evolution becomes more grounded, more centered, and more commanding. With time, while others fade by clinging to youth or surrendering to comfort, he sharpens his edge through clarity, discipline, and purpose. This is how a man does not merely age, but evolves into his strongest version.